Hello again, Guido Verwaren, Polyvision Product Manager for Surfaces. Today I would like to talk to you about something seemingly ordinary, the dry erasing of a board. It might seem something very everyday, but in fact there is a lot of science involved. And the interaction between the dry marker, the eraser, the surface, and most certainly the cleanliness of that surface all determine the experience that you have when you dry erase a board. Because in fact, a study has shown that when a teacher, for example, spends more than 10 seconds only erasing the board, then already the attention span of the classroom will have drifted. So first is dry markers. Dry markers or dry erase markers are just that. They are markers to write on the writing surface and they erase dry without the help of any solvent or cleaner. Whatever kind or brand of dry marker that you use, they all have the same three ingredients, which is one, the solvent, usually alcohol. This keeps the pigment and resin combo, which is a second ingredient, and the release agent, the third ingredient, into solution and transports it to the felt tip of the dry marker. Once you write on the surface, that alcohol will evaporate and it has served its function. But then something really extraordinary happens. Because the resin and pigment combo, which gives you the contrast and color of what you have written on the surface, will separate completely from the layer beneath it, and that is the release agent. And as the word already says, it releases the ink from the surface when you dry erase it. For example, a permanent marker does not have such release agent, and that is why it is very hard to erase a permanent marker off a surface. The release agent, therefore, is what makes a dry erase marker dry erase. There are a lot of different brands and types of dry markers on the market. The competition is very high, formulations are kept secret. It is important for an end user to choose a good quality dry marker. The dry erasability of a dry marker depends also on its position. You got to make sure that you store it horizontally and make sure to avoid the tip drying out, that you close the dry marker properly. So store it horizontally. Now, when you test dry markers for your application, you might want to make sure that you also use a good eraser, because that is equally as important. Again, there are many different types and brands of erasers on the market, and we've tested many of them. And we have found that the best one that you can use on a writing surface is a microfiber eraser. Microfiber is special in the sense that it has an asterisk-shaped cross-section which will actually absorb the pigment off of the surface instead of normal fiber, which just pushes that pigment forward. You might want to make sure also, and that's one of the big advantages of microfiber, that you do not let it clog up with too much pigment over time. Clean it regularly. That's what microfiber does. You can clean it over and over and it will start cleaning again as being new. Lastly, there is the writing surface itself. Now, no matter what the materiality of the surface is, a lower gloss level of surface will not erase as well. This is why a writing surface usually is obviously white for good contrast and readability, and it is also quite glossy because there is a direct relationship between the glossiness of a surface and its smoothness, and therefore its dry erasability, because simply put, the smoother a surface is, the better it will dry erase. There are instances, however, when a lower gloss level is required, for example, when you need to project onto that surface. Very often, the writing surface is blamed for poor dry erasability, but even disregarding the materiality of the surface, it is much more related to poor dry markers, dirty erasers, even poor erasers, but also equally important is the cleanliness of the surface. And that's what our next talk will be about. How to keep your surface clean and at peak performance so that the dry erasability of your board will be quick, easy, and complete.